Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of video reviews about board and card games. Here are your hosts, Tom Vasel and Sam Healey.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel.
Sam Healey, what's up, y'all?
Today we're looking at Rum Bones Second Tide. Now, we've already played and reviewed Rum Bones. This is essentially 1.5, maybe?
Nah, we can probably go 2.0.
It is, but it's very much the same game. Like if I said, "Did you like Rum Bones?" You're like, "I hated it." I don't think this is going to change your mind. And if you love Rum Bones, you're still going to love it after playing this.
I think you'll like it more.
There's some changes that have been made from game to game, but there's going to be backward compatibility. They're going to have an upgrade kit for all the old stuff. Now, if you've never played it before, I'm going to give you some basic overviews of how the game works. This is a pirate game for 2 or more players. Here we go. Now in this video, we're going to be going over the rules for Rum Bones Second Tide. I'm not going to be going too in-depth on the 2 new factions that are involved in this game. I'll be doing that in a video that comes out next week. But if you've never played this game before, here's a quick overview as to how the game works. Each player is going to pick a faction. So in this game, there are 2 factions. One has 1 large ship, the other has 2 smaller ships. The ship layouts might change. There might be just 2 large ships against each other. Well, there's even one faction that has 3 smaller ships. So you can, the ship layouts are explained to you in the rules. This is the one that comes with this game. Each player is going to pick their faction. Then they have 5 different heroes that they're going to pick from. Each of these heroes will have different special abilities, and they're of a different type. There's a captain, a brute, quartermaster, gunner, and swashbuckler. You're going to pick these heroes. You can pick them from your type. So in this game, you pick 3 of the 5. But you could also, if you wanted to, you could pick mercenaries. There's expansion packs for mercenaries, and I'm sure there's more of each of these factions that will be coming along that you can pick from. As you can see, this faction here is all fishy and sharky and all that. And then the other faction is more just, your normal, typical pirates. Well, I guess they're romantic pirates? I'm not quite sure. But each of these pirates, when you get them, they have special abilities. These special abilities are not printed on the card. Rather, they come as 3 cards themselves. So each player, or each character usually starts with their basic attack for free. So here this guy has Feeding Frenzy. That's his basic attack. And then as the game progresses, you'll be collecting coins. You can use as a free action anytime you want. You can take another special ability. So he might add Chomp. It costs 3 coins. Or he might add Scent of Blood. That costs 4 coins. Or they can upgrade one. See, Feeding Frenzy can be upgraded for 5 to a level 2. So they'll start with 1 special ability, possibly others. There's a few characters who have like a passive special ability. It's always an effect that's printed on the card itself. And you can get more of the special abilities throughout the game as you get coins. You're going to be getting coins by killing the opponents. Now, players will have these heroes, and each of these heroes is a different color to show what type of hero that is. And then you also have bases to show. You can put these bases on to make sure that you show they're part of your faction, and they're easier to see on the board. Players are also going to start with a bunch of deck hands. These are going to be placed on the board, and these are basically just guys that are going to spawn. They're going to spawn at spawning points, so each scenario is a little bit different. Each ship is different, so you can see there's 3 spawning points for each of them, and they're going to be basically just running at each other, trying to kill each other. So each round of the game, players are going to activate. They're going to take turns going back and forth. And they're going to activate one of their heroes, placing a coin on that hero to show that that hero has been activated. Or they can activate their crew. So each player has a crew thing. It will activate their crew. When you activate your crew, you will spawn some more crew at your spawn points. You will also activate some bossins. Now there's different models for the different types, but you can tell the bossins have a round bottom and the deckhands have a square bottom. And then after you activate them, you can then either shoot your deck gun, if you still have it. Each player has 1 deck gun. And then you will move these guys forward, and they might attack the person that they're in front of. So they're just going to run straight forward. Your goal is to eventually attack and destroy these different sections. Each person has different objectives. When you destroy them, they can give victory points and or monetary rewards. Players are attempting to get victory points. That's how you win the game. There's a separate sheet here to keep track of 8 victory points. The first person 8 victory points wins. Each player also will have a deck of cards, and these cards will be shuffled, and at the beginning of a game, at the beginning of each round, players will be drawing 3 cards. It tells you exactly on the card when you can play it, and then you just play that card as one of your actions as you go back and forth. Heroes will eventually get killed. You get rewards for killing heroes. It's a victory point and coins. These guys, these deckhands, are going to get killed right and left by your heroes, by deck guns, etc. Those will give a coin each time you kill one of those to the opponent, but you're going to keep spawning more of them. So eventually your heroes will die. Sometimes they'll fall off the ship, and then you can bring back that hero, basically, but they're going to be out of the round for a turn. So you're going to have a coin that you'll put on that hero to show that they're dead. You'll flip it over, and then the next turn they're going to be able to come back in. Now, most of the attacking is going to be done with 6-sided dice, and all the bossins and the deckhands have 1 hit point, so when you get a hit on them, you kill them. The bossins just basically exist to make the deckhands more powerful. You'll pick where they come, but you never really control these guys. They just run forward. It's your heroes that when you activate them, you're going to be able to move them 2 spaces and then attack with them and do their special abilities, or try to swing from the boat from one side to the other, but there's always the chance that you will fall overboard and have to be out for a round. As players play the different cards, there's going to be symbols on these cards that show the Kraken. You'll keep track of that over here, and there's always a chance that one player will play enough cards and roll a die to summon a Kraken, which will show up between the ships and start attacking everybody within its sight. Each of these objectives, it gives you some special abilities, but when you destroy them, some like the deck gun, if the opponent destroys it, you can no longer use that to attack your opponent. So there's just different things. There's also ways to bring out a sea monster. Remember I told you there's different ship layouts depending on which ships you're using in a battle. And that's kind of just a very basic overview. In my next video, I will go over essentially I might do a video later on where I compare the 2 different versions, although this is really the way the game's going to be from now on. Most of the changes involved the heroes used to have their abilities printed on them. Now you buy their abilities. You do not pay to use their abilities. You just pay to have the ability, and then you can also upgrade the abilities. And new cards are going to be coming out for all of the old heroes. Also, in the original game, each player would move everything on their side than their opponent would do. Now you go back and forth, deciding when to move your crew, deciding when to move your heroes until a round is over, and then you start over again. There's also other things involved in this game. If you've never played before, there's tokens that will, there's different statuses that you can do to your tokens. Your heroes have more than 1 hit point, so they'll be taking hits until they're KO'd. And then over here is the money that you will get to activate heroes, upgrade heroes. The first team to get to 8 victory points is the winner of the game. Oh, that's also, by the way, I should mention that's another difference. Before, you had to destroy sections of the boat. Now you get victory points. If you start killing your opponent's heroes, that's a way to win. Like I said, next week I'm going to talk a little bit more about the factions in general, but we can go from now. I think that the factions in this box are a lot of fun.
Yeah, they are. One is like a deeper, deep lords, kind of like the Davy Jones Locker people from Pirates of the Caribbean, and the other.
That's really what they are, right?
The other group is just a bunch of human dudes, squishies. I like to call them.
Yeah, but they're like all about the money. I almost feel like they're the sir. This person's too pretty for you to have.
Exactly.
That's not said to us, sir. But yes, the miniatures are great. The boards are great, and they in the book they already have it set up so they know how it's going to work with all the other factions. Now, what did they change in this one? The biggest change was, well, there's 2 huge changes. One was hero activation, where you use one hero, I use one hero, and you decide when you're going to activate your crew.
Correct.
Rather than have one person do everything and then the other person do everything.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
That makes a huge difference in gameplay, because when you have to activate everything on your turn, your opponent is just really kind of sitting there. I mean, yeah, he's removing his pieces, but he's really not doing anything. It generated a lot of downtime for one of the other players. Now, it's not horrible downtime because you're still engaged in all of those battles, but you're not rolling any dice. You're not really doing anything while your opponent's doing something. That's how it used to be. With this one, where I take part of my turn, I move part of my forces, and then you move part of your forces, and then I move. That's a lot. It provides a lot better flow in gameplay, where it feels like you're doing more, even though you're still doing the same number of stuff because you're breaking it up. It feels like you're doing more. And I like that about it.
Not only that, I think there's more strategy to the game this way.
Right, yeah.
Because it's like, oh, I probably should have moved the crew here first and did this and then moved that hero.
Correct.
Or this hero's about to die, so I better move him now.
Right.
And it just has that kind of, what's the best guy to move? It feels like you have more, it feels like they're working more cohesively.
Right.
And there's also a lot of react.
Right.
Now, the other big change is in the heroes themselves. The heroes before had a bunch of powers, and you spent money to activate their powers.
Right.
They all had a free power that they could use, but the rest of their powers cost money.
Right.
Now you buy money, you start with only one power, usually, and then you buy other powers, and then you upgrade those powers, which gives you a feeling of over the course of the game.
He's getting stronger over the course of the battle.
So what do you think of that change?
It's also a good one. It seems like you can, I don't know why, but it seems like you can use more of your powers during the course of the game than before, because you really have to get into the fight and knock out a bunch of those deckhands to get the gold before you can start using those other things. And it almost seems like it's half, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, because you still have to do that. But once you upgrade it, you always have that now. I don't have to spend another $5 to use that attack again. I can continue using that attack. And I really like that.
And you don't lose the money when you die.
Correct.
So that kind of, games like this are satisfying as you slowly upgrade. Like, oh, look, I'm getting better and better. And it can be really frustrating. You're like, ooh, I'm about to do something cool. You're dead. Okay, I'll start building up to that cool thing again. No, if I'm dead, I'm coming back next turn, and now you're going to pay.
Now you're going to get it, right.
And I feel like because they have these upgrade things, it's like the characters are more diverse too. Before they had 3 powers, now they essentially have 6, because each power has an upgrade to it.
Right.
And that kind of makes them even more diverse. Like, I'm really excited to look at the upgrade pack.
To see what they've done to the other.
What they've done with the other
That's going to be really cool, yeah.
I'm pretty pumped about that. And I'm going to see how they're different and how I'm going to make mercenaries and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, we have not yet tried these factions out against the old ones, mostly because we don't have the upgrade pack yet. But the gameplay is still a pretty sweet spot for me, around 90 minutes for a 2-player game. And the artwork is still great. Components are great. This has been in my top 100. I think it's actually going to move up a few spots. I really like it. I think it's my favorite pirate-themed game. It has just a bit of fantasy in it, right? But it's also just about tactical moving. That whole running your guys across the board seems very non-strategic. They're just going to move across. But because they changed the activations, I feel like there's a lot more strategy. There's still tons of rolling dice and seeing what happens.
Right. There's a lot of chaos still in the game.
But it works because there's so much of that rolling dice that it does tend to even out. Yeah, you'll get those really bad rolls sometimes. But you'll get really amazing rolls other times.
Yeah,
and that's what makes the game fun. The theme is really strong.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is exactly what all of those fighting scenes in the Pirates of the Caribbean, the way you think they would feel in a game, that's exactly how this game feels. Where you have the heroes swooping in across, the in between, across the break in the 2 boats to swing in and do this huge attack on somebody and save the day, or you just have this overwhelming swarm of deckhands that are coming across the gangplanks and stuff like that. It really has that idea of just combat, and that's just fun. It's just really fun.
And because you can go back and forth like that with the different heroes, it also allows multiplayer to make a little bit more sense in this one.
Correct.
Because you can go back and forth. Let's say you're playing 2-on-2. One person controls one hero and the deckhands. And the other person controls 2 heroes. So that makes it flow a little bit better than it did before.
Yeah, and it does actually provide more of a division, because it seemed like one guy did most of the work. And this one just, the way this is when if I go, then you go, then I go, then you go on our turn, our side of the board. It just feels a little bit more even, I guess you could say.
Still think it's best as a two-player game, but
Yeah.
it certainly moves better in the multiplayer direction.
Right.
Really love this game. Love it. 2 shark fins up. And
Hey, I'm the sharks, guys. Come on.
let me clarify.
Oh.
Severed shark fins up.
Oh. You're a vicious. I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it 2 whale blowholes up.
All right. Well, either way, we both like it. This is one of the few games that we both want to own.
Yes.
You know, we both have in our collection, and it's a game that I can play with more than just Sam. It's just I can, I'm sure you can play with your kids and stuff.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's a really cool in that way. So, hooray! I can't wait to see the upgrade kit.
Very cool.
Till next time.
Upgrade kit coming hopefully soon. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel.
Sam Healey. See you on the flip side, folks.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.